Surprise has more than one name. You know, why don't I trust good things? See, some of us have survived hell, but we get a compliment and suddenly we're uncomfortable. We know what to do with rejection. We know exactly what to do with disappointment. We can walk into chaos, read the room, identify the danger, prepare ourselves before anybody else even realizes anything is wrong. But let somebody recognize something good. Now we immediately start explaining it, minimizing it, deflecting it. Things like, I'm not trying to brag, or they're probably just being nice. They weren't serious. Whatever, anybody could have done it. Why do we do that? Why can we carry criticism for 20 years, but we can't hold a compliment for 20 seconds? We cross-examine recognition like it's lying under oath. See, I know how to defend myself against criticism, but compliments are different. They ask me to put my weapon down, and sometimes being unarmed in the presence of something good feels more dangerous than facing something bad that I already understand. And that's where we're going today. We are continuing the Feelings Wheel series, and this time we're talking about surprise! But not only the birthday kind, not only somebody that jumps out from behind the door like all of the TikTok and Instagram reels. No, we're talking about what happens when reality interrupts what our mind and our body has already predicted, especially when reality interrupts something good. So before I go any further, I need to say something as clear as possible. I know not everyone watching this is a Christian. You may practice some other faith. You may not believe in God or be spiritual or religious of any way. That's okay. But some people may have also left church because church harmed them, and some people may actually love God but don't trust the religious institutions. So when you hear scripture, um, some of you may feel comfort. Others hear scripture and the body immediately tightens because something was used as a weapon against you before. And you're still all welcome in this conversation because, see, my history is steeped in church. I was raised in it. So when we think about the scripture, the music, the language, the beauty, the damage, the questions, the contradictions are all a part of me. Church helped form who I am, but church also wounded me. I can't tell the truth, though, about who I am now without acknowledging both sides of that story. So when I use biblical stories, I'm not performing some sort of spirituality or assuming that you believe the same thing I believe. What I'm saying is I'm speaking a language of that my life was built inside of. So when I introduce a biblical story, I'll make sure to tell you where it comes from, explain the context, and translate the human underneath it. You don't have to share my faith, though, to recognize yourself in the story. So let's talk about surprise. Surprise is what happens when something occurs outside of our predicted experience. Before the brain decides what it means, the body orients towards it. What was that thing? Am I safe? Am I secure? Do I need to move closer? Do I need to step away to protect myself? See, surprise can be pleasant or unpleasant, but either way, it interrupts the script. And when you've survived by predicting the danger, interruption often feels dangerous. So even when the interruption is good, something bad confirms what we already believe, but something good might challenge it. And that's why bad news sometimes feels strangely familiar when good news can feel suspicious. Some of us distrust good news because bad news has credentials. Bad news has history. See, bad news has witnesses. Bad news can present the exhibits A through Z. See, good news walks into the courtroom by itself and it says something like, maybe the old story is no longer the whole story. And shame objects before that even gets the sentence finished. That movement shows up across expanded emotions, all underneath surprise. You may begin startled. I didn't expect that. Then move to confused. What am I supposed to do with this? And then that moves to perplexed. Can I trust what is even happening now? And amazed. Amazed says, maybe this is real. And astonished. Other people can see it too. Then we get awed. Something larger may be happening here. Then we get excited. I want to move towards this. Then eager. Maybe I am ready. Then we get energized, right? We get all pumped up and let's do this. But then fear often walks in directly behind the positive surprise. What am I talking about? Exposed, insecure, threatened. Because once somebody sees us, they can evaluate us. Once somebody recognizes your gift, you feel like you have something now to maintain. And once somebody invites you forward, you don't want to disappoint them. Once you allow yourself to be excited about something, now you actually have something to lose. And recognition can feel like somebody turning on the overhead light before you've decided what you are ready to show them. See, I've spent years wanting to be seen, but nobody told me being seen could also feel like I'm being exposed. And that became painfully clear to me today, not in a bad way, but this morning our pastor preached a message called Firm Foundation. Let us worship together. And the main passage was Psalms 95, particularly the opening part. And for anybody unfamiliar with it, Psalm 95 is a communal invitation. It calls people to come together. What am I talking about? It says to come together to sing, to shout, to bow down, to kneel. It also says to respond to God with your voice and with your body. See, the repeated language in the scriptures says, let us, not let them, not watch them, not even I hope the people on stage create enough energy for me to feel something. No. It says, let us. Everybody participates. Everybody brings something. Everybody joins in. See, the sermon also drew from Ephesians 5:19, where an early Christian community was encouraged to speak to one another through psalms, hymns, spiritual songs. That matters because the expression isn't only directed upward towards God. No, it moves horizontally, connecting from person to person. So your expression can strengthen somebody standing beside you. In Psalms 107:2 says that those who have experienced redemption should say so. So in plain language, the human side, if something has changed you, give it language, give it a name. Don't assume everybody can see what is inside of you. Proverbs 27:5 contrasts the open correction with love that remains concealed. The point is uncomfortable, right? Something can be real inside of us and still fail to reach the person who needs to experience that thing. That became the core of the message. See, worship isn't only worship when it's expressed. And then silence speaks. And that's the line that's kind of stayed with me, because if I use today, worship can be sincere inside of me. Love can be sincere inside of you. A gift, a talent, a hobby can be real inside of you. Your story can carry meaning inside of you, but nobody gets to experience what never leaves you. If I love somebody, right, but I don't ever tell them that love can be super real here, but the other person still experiences only my silence and absence. If I have a gift, but spend my time hiding it, nobody is helped by my private potential. If I've lived through something that could help another person feel seen, but the shame keeps my mouth closed, my survival only remains mine. So expression allows something internal to become relational. Silence is not empty. People often fill our silence with their wounds. But after both of the services, several people independently commented on my bass playing. I play the bass. Now, I didn't ask for that. I wasn't standing by the back door handing out evaluation forms of how was today's performance. No, they came up to me in just normal the way, and they heard something, they felt something. And when I talked about it later, I immediately felt this need to explain that I wasn't bragging. Now, watch that. They offered affirmation. I offered a disclaimer. They said something good, but my nervous system automatically prepared to be on the defensive. And at nearly the same time, my wife had expressed something that's been bubbling up inside of her. So she loves the older worship music from the late 90s, the early 2000s. These songs still move her. Songs she wants to help bring into a room again. And she mentioned that desire to someone in the group. And instead of dismissing it as nostalgic and, oh, you're old, no, they became excited and encouraged her to take the next step. And one of those songs that she mentioned was Down to the River. Now, I'm not telling you that the song title is prophecy or anything like that. No, what I'm telling you, that every coincidence isn't a divine telegram. I'm not telling you that every compliment is destiny, or that every person that comes through the door is delivering a message from God in gold letters to you. No, what I'm saying is that sometimes life gives you enough aligned information to make one honest next step. Not 20, 30, 40, no, one. And the message also says that worship must be expressed. People recognize something coming through my hands when I was playing. My wife expresses what was stirring up inside of her, and somebody responds with encouragement. So between sessions allows me to express what I've survived, what I've studied, what I'm still learning, and what I'm still becoming. See, the bass uses strings. Mine uses 5. My wife, she uses her voice. Between sessions, we use words. Different expressions, same willingness to stop hiding. See, what God placed inside our house is beginning to find its place into a room. And if you don't share this belief in God, translate it this way. What has been developing privately is becoming publicly useful. The gift is leaving the hiding place. That is positive surprise. And positive surprise can scare the heck out of you, right? Because pain is predictable. Praise, whatever form it is disorienting. I know how to handle being overlooked. But if somebody recognizes me, now I have to decide whether I can receive what somebody sees without turning that into added pressure for me. And that's where what people often call imposter syndrome enters the room. And I know this personally as a therapist early on. I can sit with somebody in some of the worst moments of their life. I can listen to what they're saying, what they're not saying. I can recognize different patterns. I can confront the avoidance. I can help someone understand what their survival has taught them, what it cost them, and who they may be allowed to become now. I know my education, right? I know my training. I know the work that I've done. I also know that I'm still a registered mental health counselor intern. I'm still learning. I still have to practice under supervision. I don't know everything yet. I've definitely made mistakes, and I'm sure I'm going to make more. All of that is true. But tell me that I did a good job or I'm a good therapist, and watch how quickly I try to present the evidence against myself. Oh, you don't know everything about me. Or I still have a long way to go. Or I don't have as many clients as I wish I did. Or you may be giving me too much credit. See, this is what makes compliments weird and awkward for me. What about you? See, I don't always hear the kindness or the praise in that thing. Sometimes I'm hearing an expectation that I'm afraid I can't maintain. And sometimes imposter syndrome is not that I believe I'm terrible. No, sometimes it's something closer to, if I accept that I'm good, now I have something to prove, something to maintain, something I might lose or disappoint. See, a compliment becomes pressure, recognition becomes scrutiny. Being seen can feel like exposure. Imposter syndrome often survives by moving the standard. What do I mean? You accomplish this and the standard now moves. You receive evidence that you're competent, that you're smart, or that you're okay, and evidence gets dismissed. That was luck. It was just timing. They're just being kind. Oh, that task was pretty simple. Anybody could have done that. You keep every failure as evidence and disqualify every success as a technicality or a happen chance. Shame becomes a prosecutor and a judge. I can be good at what I do and still be learning. I can be gifted and still need correction. I can play well and still miss notes all the time. I can help somebody and still be unable to help everybody. I can receive affirmation without constructing my entire identity around the applause. See, a compliment is not a contract. It doesn't require me to perform perfectly forever. Recognition is also not a coronation. Nobody hands me a throne. Nobody gives me a crown. They simply describe their experience of what I brought into the room. Receiving does not make me arrogant. Arguing them out of it does not make me look humble either, though. It only keeps the old story undefeated. See, being ignored wounded me. Being recognized can terrify me. Criticism is familiar. I already know how to defend myself against criticism. But compliments ask me to put the weapon down, and some of us have carried the weapon so long that an empty hand feels irresponsible. See, there's a story in the Bible that holds this tension. It appears in 2 Samuel 6:14 through, I believe, 23. The central figure is King David and his wife, Michal. For anyone unfamiliar with the story, David was the king of Israel. So he carried authority, visibility, and expectations that were attached to his royalty. And the Ark of the Covenant was being brought into the city. Within ancient Israel, the Ark had represented God's covenant and presence around the people. It was not some sort of concert prop. What it did is it carried a deep, deep sacred meaning to the people. And David responded by dancing before God with physical abandon. He surrendered the controlled royal image of what the people expected the king to be. No, what he did is he worshiped with his whole body. And if somebody was watching, they weren't a stranger. They weren't some anonymous critic. It was David's own wife who watched him from the window. The passage says that she despised what she saw. So when David returned home, she mocked him. She believed that his public expression had made him look foolish, undignified, and very unkingly. That details matter. David did not dance like nobody was watching the other song. No, he danced while somebody close watched and despised him. His worship was not powerful because judgment was absent. No, it was powerful because judgment did not get to make the decision for him. Now, I'm not using this story to demonize the wives. Absolutely not. I'm not using it to suggest that every person who questions you or me is merely jealous of whatever it is that we're doing. And I'm not using God as an excuse to ignore our accountability in relationships. People have done enough damage with that kind of spiritual manipulation. No, the human pattern underneath the story is this: expression creates vulnerability. And once you become visible, somebody can misunderstand what they're seeing. And sometimes the judgment comes from the person whose acceptance matters the most. Some of us have learned to hide because the first people who saw our joy mocked it. We sang and they laughed. You created something and somebody criticized it. You got excited and somebody told you to calm your jets, tone it down. You felt proud of something finally and somebody told you stop being arrogant. You expressed an emotion and somebody used that expression against you later. You told the truth and the room became less safe. You learned that visibility came with punishment. Now, recognition feels dangerous, not because we hate being seen, but because being seen once came with a cost. The first people who saw your joy may have taught you, you better hide that. And that's why today's compliment can awaken yesterday's shame. A person speaking to you may be safe, but the body is responding to everybody else who was not safe. See, positive surprise creates a collision between the present moment and our old predictions. The present can say, you are being appreciated, but the old prediction says, be careful. Visibility is how they find the target. Remember last time? Present can say, you are being invited. But the old prediction creeps back and says, don't get too excited. They're probably going to change their mind anyway. The present can say, you did something really well. What's the old prediction say? If you accept that, you'll become arrogant and God's going to humble you. See, some of us were taught to fear pride so intensely that we became dishonest about our own gifts. We learned to insult the creation so that the creator would know we're humble. That makes absolutely no sense. You don't honor the source of the gift by pretending the gift does not exist. Humility is not self-erasure. Humility is accurate sight without self-worship. You can tell the truth about your strengths, still remain teachable. You can receive applause without becoming addicted to the applause. You can acknowledge that your growth is happening without pretending that you're completely finished. You can say to others, yes, I did well, but then keep practicing. The Bible contains other people who risked being seen as well. Paul was an early Christian leader whose letters make up a significant part of the second half of the Bible called the New Testament. Read 1 Corinthians or Galatians and you'll quickly discover that he was not writing motivational greeting cards. Quite contrary, he confronted early churches when they hid their division, their hypocrisy, their ego, or the dysfunction behind religious words. Paul understood that politeness does not heal what nobody is willing to talk about. Truth sometimes arrives without a soft lighting. It doesn't give us permission, though, to be cruel. Please understand me. Directness without love becomes just another weapon. But people who protected their image and disappeared. Every culture also has people who risked exposure and changed the room. Expression always costs something. So does silence. And that's the part that we forget. We count risk like something speaking, but we rarely count the cost of staying hidden. Silence may protect me from criticism, absolutely, but can also prevent intimacy. Silence may protect you from failure, but does it also prevent your growth? Silence may protect us from being misunderstood, but it can also guarantee that nobody really knows us. Silence may protect you from disappointment. but it can also keep us standing outside every good thing that requires our participation. Sometimes, sometimes we call it wisdom. Sometimes we call it discernment. Sometimes we call it humility. Sometimes, though, it's fear wearing dress-up clothes. And when I say we baptize fear, I'm using a metaphor from my religious language. Baptism is traditionally a sacred act of identification and transformation. To baptize fear means we take a survival response, dress it in sacred language, and declare that it's untouchable. We rename avoidance. Stop baptizing fear and calling it humility. Some of us would rather remain misunderstood than risk being recognized and later get disappointed again. So we stay controlled, acceptable, unreadable. We protect our image. We soften the truth. We remain near the water without ever entering it. And then we wonder why nothing in our life is changing. Now listen, I'm not Tony Robbins. And if you're part from the older crowd, I'm not Zig Ziglar either. I'm not asking you to stare into the mirror and repeat 17 times that you're amazing and that your nervous system's going to believe it. No, if slogans alone could change the world, coffee mugs would have cured us by now. That's not positive thinking. That is emotional honesty. And in the church tradition that I come from, the altar was a place where the sermon stopped being about information and it became about a decision. People came forward to pray or surrender or confess or to respond. And I'm not asking you to convert. I'm naming the moment when reflection requires a response. See, the altar of the episode is not, hey, believe you're amazing. No, that's cheap. It's can you let something good be true without cross-examining it? Can you receive a compliment without submitting a disclaimer? Can you allow one good moment to exist without demanding that it guarantee the rest of your life? Can you acknowledge a gift without worshiping the gift? Can you be proud of your growth without pretending the work is already finished? Can you be seen without immediately trying to disappear, though? See, for some of us, the next practice is painfully simple. Somebody offers a compliment, pause. But notice what happens inside your body, right? That's what I'm talking about. Notice if there's tension. Notice if there's heat. Notice the urge to over-explain. Notice the evidence your mind is beginning to gather against what they're saying. Notice whether you want to joke, minimize, return the compliment, or completely change the subject. But then breathe for a minute. Maybe say, I don't know, thank you. And have that be it. Don't tell them why they're wrong for saying what they did. Don't make yourself smaller so the room still thinks you're humble. Don't turn their experience into a debate that you have to win. Just say thank you. Let good be good. You don't have to build a throne to it, though. But you don't also have to bury it. Today, several people heard something in the songs that I was playing, so I'm going to let that be true. My wife expressed something that had been stirring up inside of her. Someone responded with encouragement, so we're going to let that be true. See, between sessions lets me turn lived experience, clinical understanding, my recovery, faith, doubt, unfinished growth into something another person may be able to use. So I'm going to let that be true. It doesn't make either of us special. It makes us responsible. Responsible for practicing, responsible for staying present in the moment, staying teachable, but also responsible for protecting the privacy of real people whose lives happen to touch ours. But also responsible for refusing to turn affirmation into ego, responsible for no longer turning fear into false humility. And then There's that song that I mentioned earlier, Down to the River. See, river imagery carries deep spiritual meaning in scripture and in many cultures. Rivers represent life, cleansing, movement, crossing, change. In the Christian tradition, water also is connected to baptism, which symbolizes death to an old identity and movement into a new identity. You don't have to accept that theology, though, to understand the human image that I'm going for. A river moves. A river does not offer you complete control. You cannot enter into the moving water and remain entirely untouched by it. You can study the river from the bank, absolutely. You can analyze it. You can learn about it. You can discover about the current. You can explain the temperature. You can interview anybody and everybody who entered before you into that water. But at some point, knowing about the water is not the same as entering in. The water will not become less wet while you stand there demanding certainty. That does not mean leap into every opportunity. It doesn't mean you abandon your judgment. It does not mean that every river is safe. It just simply means there comes a moment when more analysis becomes just another hiding place, avoidance. Maybe your next step isn't something dramatic. Maybe nobody's going to clap and applause, but maybe it's simply receiving one compliment without fighting it. Maybe it's expressing one desire that you've kept private for a long time. Maybe it's allowing somebody safe to see your work. Maybe it's applying for something before you feel completely qualified. Maybe it's acknowledging, yes, I am good at this. Maybe it's allowing joy to remain in the room without warning it that disappointment may also be coming. Some of us are so freaking prepared for disappointment that recognition feels like a threat. We know how to survive the storm, right? We don't know how to stand in the sunlight without searching for fire, smoke, some signal. But good does not have to become permanent before it's real. A compliment doesn't have to guarantee our future. An invitation doesn't have to become destiny. An open door today does not have to remain open forever. See, something can be temporary and still be true. Something can be unfinished and still be good. Something can surprise you without deceiving you. You don't have to worship the good thing. You only have to stop calling it a lie long enough to receive it. So, when something good interrupts your prediction, pay attention. Startled, confused, perplexed, amazed, astonished, awed, excited. I'm eager, let's go. Energized. But underneath it, am I feeling exposed? Am I feeling a little insecure? Maybe I'm feeling a little threatened. Whatever it is, name all of it. You can feel excited and afraid at the same time. You can feel proud and exposed at the same time. You can feel grateful and still be suspicious. See, emotional maturity is not forcing one feeling to kill every other feeling that we have. It's simply making room to hear which feeling is trying to tell you what and what it is allowing you to question. See, fear can speak, but fear does not always get your vote. Shame can appear, but shame does not get to cross-examine every good thing until nothing is left. Let good be good. Say thank you. Take the next honest step. Move toward the river. Not because you're amazing in any sort of way. Not because every opportunity is some sort of destiny. Not because positive thinking can erase pain, but because the old prediction does not deserve permanent authority over your life anymore. Surprise means reality did something you did not expect. So maybe this time reality is not confirming your worst fear. Maybe this time somebody saw you and they stayed. Maybe this time the door opened. Maybe this time your gift reached the room. Maybe this time good arrived without a trap hidden behind it. You don't have to interrogate it. You don't have to worship it either. You don't have to promise that it will last forever. You only have to stop calling it a lie long enough to receive it. Go down to the river, put the weapon down, breathe. Maybe just say, thank you.